leaving Port McNeill in the morning. It's about 8 a.m. But sunrise happens late up here, and it's just after the solstice. Campbell Way. Something beautiful and peaceful about early morning travel on the road. I enjoy. Here we are, intersection Highway 19. If I went right, I'd go to Port Hardy and the Port Alice turnoff, but I'm going left. I'm heading south. 5 degrees, plus 5 degrees Celsius. Nice and warm. I don't have any ice worries yet. Let's see what it's like when I get further into the inland section. This is a good time to pause and show you where I am. Vancouver Island on the west coast of British Columbia, and the red circle is the location, northeast part of the island. Here's a close-in map of the area, and you can see Malcolm Island at the top. That's where Sointula is, and that's where I visited for a work trip. There's a separate video about that. There's the start of my drive, Port McNeill. And the end of this voiceover segment of this driving is Nimpkish, south end of Nimpkish Lake. And that's the red circle at the bottom of the map. So this poorly drawn red line follows Highway 19. And because of the excessive noise from me recording while I'm driving at highway speed, I'm doing this voiceover now, a few days afterwards, to give some commentary on these highway scenes. Alright, here comes the Nimpkish Bridge. I like this one. It's a through truss bridge. Nimpkish River is what we're crossing. It goes to the Pacific Ocean, out of frame on the left side. Empties from Nimpkish Lake. Coming up on the left are our tourist recreation areas, Telegraph Cove and Alder Bay. And there's also the Beaver Cove log sort for Western Forest products, and that's where you turn left to go to all of that. And now coming around the curve is just a really fun, long, straight section. There's a lot of straight sections like this along this highway. And then we climb up. We're climbing up above Nimpkish Lake, and so there's a few climbing lanes, extra lanes for slower traffic. I like this area because of the rock cuts on either side of the highway. You never know what's around the corner. It's just such an interesting drive, and it's just fun to drive, fun to see the geography. There's a few glimpses of Nimpkish Lake on the right hand side, but not too many. Here comes another climb. I like this spot because the railway, since removed, is up on the left, up on the top of the cliff, out of sight here. The lake is on the right, down below, so we're in the middle of that. And I'm going to pull over up ahead, and that's a spot where up on the cliff on the left is a nice viewpoint down Nimpkish Lake that shows the railway grade, the highway, and the lake. And I'm going to show you that from a July 2020 photograph when rails were still there on the ground, and a few weeks later the rails were removed as part of the logging railway removal project. Back on the road, here comes a few bridges. The first one is Noomas Creek, and upstream from this is a bridge on the logging railway over the same creek, and it's a dual-use bridge, so it's got rails for the train when it ran, and planks for logging trucks and vehicles like my car. Continuing on, here comes another one. This is Storey Creek coming up. Same story with Storey Creek. Upstream is the railway bridge, and it's also a dual-use bridge. The rails are still on those bridges. I think they add to the structural integrity of it. And here's a windshield view from sometime in 2020 of me driving carefully across it. There's Kinman Creek. Hey, there's a railway bridge upstream from that too. Look on ahead. There is the highway is underpassing the railway. That's the Nimpkish Shops Spur. And that is just a short section of the old railway grade that goes down to Nimpkish Shops. Here's what the bridge looks like from on top. And there's rails still on this bridge. Again, it adds to the structure. And now I'm going to turn off and let's rejoin the original sound. This was once a very busy logging camp area and then a busy railway shop area. Now, not so much. Railway grade is to the right. It's a good time for me to explain that I enjoy driving the old railway grade area, and I still refer to it as if it was still there, just following along with the landmarks. It's my way of keeping that history alive. This is also the way that you go to get down to the Nimpkish Lake forestry campsite. It's a WFP gate here, but straight through is the old Nimpkish camp and the car shops, and I guess the locomotive shops to the left. I'll get it wrong, maybe 50-50 chance. Locomotive shops and car shops. Let's go back to the pavement, but not for long. So go across the highway and then we're going to explore the Nimpkish Main, which runs parallel to Highway 19 and also runs pretty parallel to the railway grade. So let's talk about where I am at the south end of Nimpkish Lake. Here's the close-up of the map. That's the spot where the previous video segment ended, as I'm driving the paved road back up towards the highway. Just to make it easier to see, the filled in black line is the main line of the railway grade, and the silver gray bit is the Nimpkish Shop Spur grade. So, circle there is the junction of the Shop Spur and the main line, and that's where I parked my vehicle, started walking around. I walked down towards the Kinman Creek Bridge in that direction, going railway north. Then later on I walked down to the highway underpass bridge and crossed that and took some photographs. In a later video I'm going to continue on the Nimpkish Main logging road, shown in red, which runs parallel between the highway and the railway grade main line. Highway 19, pretty quiet this morning. Here comes the Nimpkish Main logging road on the right coming in. Railway is just up on the right through the trees. And coming up to the railway's Nimpkish Junction soon, where the Nimpkish Shop Spur branched off from the main line. Is the Nimpkish Shop Spur. So I'm on the Nimpkish Main logging road, and on the right is the junction of Nimpkish Shop Spur and railway main line. Here is a Chris Medland photograph from September 2016,
showing locomotives 302 leading and 304 and a caboose pulling a string of empty log cars southward, and they're on the main line, and you can see the shop Spur on the left side of the photograph. Again, I'm just referring to it as if it was still here with rails on the ground. Yeah, main line goes off to the left, shop Spur goes to the right. And because I'm so close to it, I'm going to walk railway north just a bit to the Kinman Creek bridge, because I've only seen it once, and that was when there were still rails on it before the railway removal project. I'm really curious to see what it looks like now. Mainly, have they removed the rails from it? And I think they probably have, because it wasn't a dual use bridge. So it's been over 2 years since there was any activity here regarding railway, and that was the rail removal project. So we have windfalls, but I'm thankful that there's also remnants of the railway, such as the Curve 130 sign. Here's some old bridge timbers, and as expected, concrete barricade for the bridge with the warning sign, and no rails, just like I expected. Really similar to what Davie River and Groves Creek bridges are like, with no rails on them. So here's Kinman Creek Bridge going north. Nice solid bridge ties. There's the fire hose, the fire pipe. And the creek. The hose is working. Ahead around the corner would be the Dam Creek Bridge, little small bridge. Looking south. I like that there are some remnants, like that plate still around. Oh, water pressure is coming. Interesting seeing the impressions of the plates left on the bridge timbers. Here's one tie that's not so good. It's depressed quite a bit. And hey, it's actually supported a bit by the cross beam of steel there. But all the other ones are pretty good. The camera's working on the detail of the timbers and the impression marks left by the plates. Okay, bye-bye for me to Kinman Creek Bridge. I'm thankful that there were a few clues of the railway left behind. Thank you. curve 130. Just noticing the bits of white limestone in the ballast has that look like snow. And that's what was mentioned in the book Last of the Railway Loggers, book by Maynard Atkinson and Sandy Macham, published in 2018, I think. They mentioned how the limestone ballast had that snowy look, and it's definitely a legacy now that just endures on these grades. And I think about those two authors and their work every time I see the limestone ballast. Again, this is infused with all sorts of memories of what used to be. Even though I missed the era of trains operating, I'm still happy that I got to see it with rails on. That's the kind of scene I was looking for. Some remnant of the railway infrastructure showing what the grade is like now. Again, it's all wrapped up there in my memory of things I've read about, things I've seen, train photographs that I've enjoyed, and walking the history area is what I can still do. So in a lot of ways, by walking this, I'm just honoring the people that worked on the railway and the people that documented the railway. And I feel their legacy as I'm walking down places like this. Hey, here's the junction. Okay, let's say that I'm pulling a string of bad order cars, and we're just through the switch, and we're on to the Nimpkish Shop Spur. There goes the main line. And we're picking up elevation right away. I like this scene with the main line visible on the left, and straight ahead the Nimpkish Shop Spur continues after it crosses the Nimpkish Main with those lovely mountains in the background. And because of curiosity and interest, I'm just going to take this short little walk to the highway underpass bridge and see what that's like as a typical highway underpass, whether there are rails left on it. And here comes the highway underpass bridge. Hey, I think we got rails. Yeah, Jordan rail, the inner guardrail, and the regular set of rails on the outside, left in, presumably because they're part of the structural integrity of the bridge structure. Let's take a look. This is Highway 19. The highway on the south side. Nice curve on this bridge. Oh yeah, I'm really happy with this angle of the Nimpkish Spur bridge. It's the highway underpass looking towards the main line. Here comes some traffic. This is where I appreciate the wide angle of my phone. Thank you, Samsung. Okay, that's it for the Nimpkish Bridge Highway Underpass. For me, pleased to see rails still on. Let's go back on the shop spur to the Mainline Junction. Okay, instead of crossing Nimpkish Main on the spur, let's just go to the main line and walk that back to the junction. Look at all that limestone. So here's the main line. Around the corner is the junction with the shop spur. And beyond that, Kinman Creek Bridge. And looking up, here's that lovely view of the mountain with the snow on the top, and looking straight down the grade towards Kinman Creek Bridge with the Nimpkish Main logging road visible on the left. And when I turn around, there's the view looking south down the main line where I just came from. Such a lovely view. There's the main line on the left, heading towards siding 3. That's where I'm heading towards. Do a bit of photography just at the road entrance to it on the Nimpkish Main. And my visit to siding 3 will be in my next video coming up sometime soon. Thanks for watching this one.